60% of the African population, estimated at 1,200,000,000, is under the age of 25, and the share of young people is steadily increasing. According to the UNICEF forecast, the United Nations Children's Fund, the continent will have 2 billion inhabitants by 2050, or a quarter of the world's population. Fertility rates in the sub-Saharan Africa remained among the highest in the world, exposing the region to high poverty rates that exacerbate illegal immigration and conflict. Faced with this threat to future development efforts, the African Union adopted a roadmap in January 2017 on making full use of the demographic dividend by investing in youth.
Le plan décennal d'exécution de l'agenda 2063 met en œuvre une série d'actions.
The 10-year plan for the implementation of the 2063 agenda sets a series of actions which targets the objectives of the youth in order to achieve the desired autonomy.
Puisqu'il n'y a pas mieux que les jeunes eux-mêmes pour exprimer leurs besoins et leurs désirs.
This is essential, since there is no better way for young people themselves to express the needs and desires for an integral and prosperous Africa, as proclaimed on the agenda. I have no doubt that the 400 million young people, I'm talking about young people aged 13 to 35, if we add the younger ones, there are nearly 700 million in Africa today. They will work miracles once they become aware of their number, their potential, their talents, their geniuses. Dear young people, your mobilization across the continent and in favor of the implementation of Vision 2063 is the best guarantor, I should say the only true guarantor of its effective achievement. Education, technical and vocational training tailored to the needs of the markets offered, skills development, employment and innovative entrepreneurship, health, well-being, human rights, governance, empowerment, peace and security are the areas where the youth should give free rein to the imagination to achieve the best conquest.
À son imagination pour obtenir de hautes luttes les meilleures conquêtes.
The challenge of strengthening Africa's human capital, starting with its young people, has galvanized commitments to promote their rights and invest in quality and relevant education at all levels, in health, in science, technology, and in innovation. The emphasis on youth has also spurred these efforts on peace and security. The African Peace and Security Architecture and Agenda 2063's commitments to silence the guns by 2020 have brought a new focus to preventive diplomacy that is critical for ensuring that young Africans inherit and shape a continent that is free from conflict in all its forms. Today, you are here taking decisions that will ensure that Africa benefits from the full potential of all its people, including young women and men. And this has generated greater efforts to ensure that all young African women and girls have equal access, opportunities, and leadership roles in all areas of political, economic, and public life. Truly investing in our youth today reaps the dividends of a peaceful and prosperous Africa tomorrow.
The demographic dividend comes when the decline in infant mortality and fertility allows a country to have a large number of people of working age and a small number of dependents. But this large number of workers can only give a boost to the economy if there are sufficient employment opportunities. It is within this framework that the roadmap of the African Union intends to trace the trajectory of the development of Africa over the next 50 years. Targeted investments in these 4 pillars will enable the continent to build a healthy, educated, and equipped population to contribute to effective and sustainable growth.
They should have productive hope for their future. So by extending the demographic dividend as a young continent, well prepared, contributing to the economy, we will be in a very privileged position. And I think 10 years from now, young people are going to be leading. We're trying to equip them so they understand how the world works. We also want them to understand how the human body works. You know, a girl can be much more confident when she understands how to protect herself from a lot of the dangers that are out there. And when she is informed, she's happy, family's happy. She's not leaving school too soon. She's not getting pregnant too soon. It's better for her. It's better for her children. And we have proud parents who are happy that their daughters and their sons are doing well.
The demographic dividend can therefore accelerate economic growth in a way that spreads prosperity in a community. But to realize this potential, each country must embark on a strategic planning and preparation process that begins with its demographic profile.
Le temps était donné. Et là, aujourd'hui, sur le terrain,
the tone has been given, and now, on the ground, and with the United Nations Population Fund, in all the countries of this beautiful continent, we have helped to encourage countries to launch the theme of the year. About 12 countries have done so. I can quote the Republic of Congo, and I'm really honored. It was the first country to launch it, and Madagascar followed by being in the top 5.
Mais c'est pas seulement le lancement, parce que nous devons aller au-delà du lancement. Dans un pays comme Madagascar, non seulement c'est l'un des rares pays qui a organisé une table ronde.
It is not just a launch, because we have to go beyond that. In a country like Madagascar, which is one of the few countries that have organized a round table with parliamentarians, senators and deputies to prepare for the African Union summit and to take stock of what needs to be done, the government has followed under the high authority of His Excellency the Prime Minister of Madagascar, with the Minister of Youth and many others, so that together we can see what partnership means in this framework and what investment means. And you know that in Madagascar, the United Nations system is helping the country to set up youth centers, areas where they can come and access to reproductive health services, because you know that family planning is a key element in achieving the demographic dividend. And these youth centers are empowering places. They received information about the health, on the youth, on job opportunities and opportunities for emancipation.
Et également des possibilités d'émancipation.
We often find that when we have a theme of the year, after that year, that's the end of it. But what we want to insist upon this time around is that the demographic dividend window opens in 2050. That is over 30 years. We must now begin to realize that this year is just, I would say, one of the popularization activities of a demographic dividend, making this year the theme of youth, making the theme of this year the year of youth, the year of harnessing demographic dividend, is just shining the spotlight that there's so much work to be done. And I think the onus falls upon us we who work at the African Union, we at UNFPA, at the United Nations bodies, youth groups. The onus is upon us to emphasize that this is a long-term investment. It does not end here. We must continue.
The UNFPA held a meeting with the Association of First Ladies of Africa on HIV/AIDS on the sidelines of the 29th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the African Union, an opportunity for the organization to take stock of 15 years of commitment to the demographic dividend and to examine the progress made in empowering women, adolescents and girls on the continent.
Au sortir de cette réunion,
the theme of the meeting was traditional and religious practices for the promotion of reproductive health. We had 11 First Ladies, I believe, and if I remember correctly, 2 wives of Prime Minister and 1 wife of Vice President. At the end of the meeting, we signed an 11-point commitment to adolescent reproductive health. As I said earlier, this is a very important issue that embraces the future of our countries, of our population, of women, of adolescents. At the end of the Bamako meeting, we immediately approached the SWADE, which is a demographic dividend. We presented this commitment and asked them if they could do some work with us, if they could finance it so that all points of this commitment can be taken into account. And that's what happened.
Notre chantier est ambitieux. Nous travaillons vraiment sur tous les volets.
The site is very ambitious. ambitious. We are now working on all aspects of service delivery and at the same time on all aspects of input improvement as we mobilize additional resources from partners such as the Global Fund, USA, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, so that all these pilot initiatives in the countries can be scaled up, because our objective is that the populations can understand, can leave the demographic dividend as such, and that is not a macroeconomic concept. When you are in your village and at any time you need to plan in relation to a contraceptive method, if available and accessible, I think that is the human face of the demographic dividend.
C'est là le visage humain du dividende démographique.
Je pense que la question du passage à l'échelle.
I think the question of scaling up small is proved to be decisive interventions and is a fundamental issue.
Je pense que c'est vraiment une question fondamentale. C'est une question d'ailleurs stratégique parce que pour altérer.
This is a strategic question because in order to alter the situation we are seeing today in all countries, particularly in Africa, in the south of the Sahara, I think it is not a matter of doing small isolated operations here and there. There is an extremely strong social demand, and to alter the difficult situation that some of these populations are experiencing today, we need large-scale actions. And I've been saying this ever since we have started our advocacy work to capture the demographic dividend.
Notre travail de plaidoyer pour la capture du dividende démographique. Si par exemple vous avez des besoins de centaines de milliers de classes,
if, for example, you need hundreds of thousands of classes, you are not going to win the bet if you have a model that allows you to have some 10 classes and stop there. We have to look at a bigger picture. But from a strategic point of view, we have to make sure that the pilot operations we are pushing for scaling are scalable, because not all operations are able to scale.
Passage à l'échelle sont des opérations, comme on dit en anglais, qui sont scalable.
That is why in our assessments regarding the operations on which we can build on going forward, the question of scalability should be at the center of the experts' assessments throughout these countries. In my opinion, if there are three things we need to work on in this country, we have to do what I call the 3 S's. Strategic interventions must really be chosen.
Des interventions qui sont stratégiques.
By focusing on the main determinants of the demographic dividend, the SWADE, the Sahel Women's Empowerment and Demographic Dividend Project, represents a promising regional approach to be extended and expanded in other parts of Africa to capture the demographic dividend.